Hey sports fans, this is Straight from the Basement with Tommy Ommy. I'm a 57-year-old sports fan who always said, since I never played sports professionally, then let's talk about it. I am born and raised in New York City. I played organized basketball for several well-known teams in the mid-'70s and early '80s, such as the legendary home called Rucker Tournament, Millbank, Stone Gym and Riverside Church, LaGuardia House, and my all-time favorite, Each One Teach One. Having sports in my life at an early age always kept me out of trouble. If I wasn't playing basketball, I was either playing football or baseball. Welcome to Straight from the Basement with Tommy Ommy, where my opinions, views, and facts will cover the hottest, the latest, and the past sports events. So please, sports fans, I want you guys to take this journey with me and let's talk sports. But before we talk sports, I need you guys to please subscribe to my podcast in order to communicate with me through my basement chat. Now, through my basement chat, I'll be asking questions throughout my shows. I need you guys to respond to me, and then I'll be able to read a few of your responses on my next show. My podcast will be available throughout the week. So let's talk sports. My first topic today is regarding the Brooklyn Nets and superstar guard Kyrie Irving. And due to the fact we are still in this pandemic, I thought it was only fitting to do my first podcast around the pandemic. And so I want to get right straight to my topic. Kyrie Irving, I feel, is a natural baller. I've never seen in my teenage or adult life a ball handler who can handle the rock the way this man does. Now, you got a list, and there's a list. I'm quite sure there's a list around who's the best ball handler in NBA history. Well, I got a little list. That list first starts off with Gus Williams. For those who don't know who's Gus Williams, he used to play for the Supersonic, Seattle Supersonic, that is. And then we had the Tiny Archibalds with the Pete Maravich, right? Pistol Pete, New Orleans Jazz, for those who may not know. I'm going to fast forward to AI with the crossover. AI with the crossover with Kobe Bryant. Yes, we got Curry right now. I'm talking about the one with the Warriors, with the ball handler. But if there's a list out there, who's on top of that ball handler list? Got to be superstar guard Kyrie Irving. So let's talk about Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets. And before we do, I got one question. And I got a question that I ask friends and family. And I want the same responses through my basement chat from you guys when you get the subscription on my podcast. And I'm breaking it down just like that. So I got a few responses that I need to read before I go into my opinion on what needs to be taking place. And so the question of the day is, since Kyrie Irving is back full-time, and if the Nets don't make it to the Eastern Conference Championship or Finals, and he is still unvaccinated in the offseason, what should ownership decide to do with him? Do they keep him or trade him? And I got a few responses from a few friends and family, and I'm going to read a few. Big Tuck from New York City says, ownership should keep him and cross their fingers and hope that nothing weird in the world happens. There's no denying his talent. In a nutshell, ownership. Mike from Elizabeth, New Jersey says, get rid of him. Personally, they should have got rid of him earlier. He is toxic to the team. Talent is being wasted on that team, like Patty Mills and Seth Curry and Bruce Browns. They play horrible when he's there. They are never focused with his nonsense. So mentally, that team is shot. That's Mike from Elizabeth, New Jersey. Then I got the original Dukester from Houston. The NBA has their rules, and he is playing by them. Getting Kyrie for half of a season is better than having half of the players in the NBA. So keep him and pray he still wants to stay after being talked about. Now that's the Dukester from Houston, Texas. Then I got Ike what it looked like from the Boogie Down Bronx. Now he's a 1970 Net fan from the ABA days. For those who don't know what the ABA is, that was the American Basketball Association. And Ike says, I believe ownership will keep him. There are other non-vaccinated players throughout the league. Only in Canada they cannot play. Kyrie is definitely selfish, but he is a commodity to have. Now, that's a Net fan, y'all. That's not me saying it. Big T from Queens says, if the NBA don't make it mandatory to be fully vaccinated around the league or in New York, you got to keep them next season. You will have Kyrie, Durant, and a healthy Ben Simmons. That will be definitely favored to win it all next season. And last, I got DJ CMX from the Boogie Down Bronx. He says, ownership should keep them. If there's no mandate restrictions, it should not be a problem for ownership. But if restrictions are put back in place and Kyrie has a no-trade clause in his contract, then he has total control of ownership. Yeah, he does, and I agree. And listen, so I want to get you guys to get my opinion. So I need you guys to listen, and listen very well. Listen. Now, off-season begins whenever that begins for the Nets, depending on how far they go into the playoffs. When that off-season begins, a meeting needs to be conducted, and that meeting needs to be with Kyrie Irving, his agent, his lawyer, and the ownership. And that contract needs to be in the middle of that table. And that contract needs to be reconstructed. A stipulation needs to be put in place. And that stipulation should say something like this. If the COVID-19 increases to the fact that Mayor Adams, our mayor, has to put the restriction back in place, and that stops Kyrie Irving from playing any home games at the Barclays Center, he does not get paid for those games. What professional athlete you know throughout the years got a full contract, got paid, but only played half a season? What is that? Unfair to the city, unfair to the ownership, and unfair to the fans. That stipulation needs to be put in place. Now, if he doesn't want to sit down and reconstruct that contract, then he needs to be traded. That's my take on it. That's my opinion. Yes, I agree with every response that I just finished reading. And yes, he is a superstar. And yes, like Houston, Texas said, he's probably better than most guards half a season. But you don't pay a man for half a season. You pay him in full. No, you can't go into the next season, the 2022-23 season, and you know that the damn corona is still kicking, and you're going to pay this man for half a season, and you're going to pay him in full, and then if he gets hurt, then he can't even play away games? What are we saying? What? I mean, he's not Michael Jordan, and even if he was Michael Jordan shouldn't be able to get that. So no, you cannot pay this man for a full contract to only play half a season or miss this home game and miss that home game because he doesn't want to get vaccinated. Yes, listen, everybody has that choice. Everybody has that choice to be vaccinated or not vaccinated, and I'm not beating him up on that. He's a grown man. He had that choice, but it's not fair to the city, again, to the fans, and to ownership. So I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me in my basement. Please subscribe to my podcast in order to communicate with me through my basement chat, so I'll be able to read some of your responses on my next show. As I always say, sports is what keeps this world from going insane, either in a pandemic or no pandemic. Until next time.